Cool. The sports editor is really grateful to chat to Blue Bulls rugby player, Chris Smith. It's been something I've been really looking forward to for a long time. So, Chris, thank you so much for your time. But I'm sure you're enjoying life in Pretoria, but you must miss Cape Town once in a while.
Yeah, so obviously was born and bred in the Cape. All my family's there, all my siblings. Yeah, obviously love Cape Town, which I'm really enjoying life this side in Pretoria. It's really helped, obviously, being part of the Bulls. Such a great setup in Pretoria. A lot of beautiful golf courses that often on the off days we get around to playing. So yeah, really enjoying the lifestyle. Yeah, Pretoria.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think it's a really awesome place to be, Pretoria. A lot happens there. Was professional rugby something that you aim for? Or was it a case where, you played a bit of rugby and now, hey, next thing, I'm in it. I'm playing professional rugby all of a sudden.
So obviously growing up, I played quite a few sports, but I think I always was more in love with rugby. And then when I went to high school, I was actually a big hockey fan. Really enjoyed my hockey in junior school. So obviously those were the two winter sports. But when I went to high school at SACS, I had to choose between the two, and I ended up going obviously the rugby route. So I mean, obviously you dream of playing big rugby, and always as a sort of call it a little lighty, you think, oh, I want to play for the Springboks, this and that. But as you get older and sort of realize, sometimes it's not always that easy and whatnot. So and obviously leaving school, in my tricky, I didn't play academy week or Craven week or any of that. So sort of the exposure there that you get at those weeks is obviously pretty immense. So unfortunately, I didn't have that. And then I didn't get a sort of a junior provincial contract out of school. So I sort of took a step back and realized, listen, I've got to obviously look at the bigger picture. So I enrolled at Marty's. Obviously spent 5 years there, and then in my final year of varsity cup, got the opportunity to play provincial rugby at Pumas in Nelspruit, and it all sort of kicked off from there.
Yeah, Chris, for me, if I'm reading about the underlying work there is hard work, and you seem to be able to just grind it out no matter what is thrown at you. You were determined to prove a point, and you were just taking it game by game, and here we go. It's brilliant to see, Chris. Well done. But I'm sure you're enjoying the setup at the Bulls. But what sort of stands out for you in the franchise there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, very, very proud franchise with a lot of history. Obviously, Coach Jake took over in end of 2020 and 2021. And obviously made a lot of changes at the union, a lot of good changes. It's brought in a lot of high profile quality players. So he's developed a squad that is really good. I mean, we could probably full two 15-man sides that would be able to compete at a decent level. I think our facilities and obviously Loftus, we call it Fortress Loftus. It's a very beautiful stadium. So we obviously always enjoy playing home games there. A high performance gym that we have. So the facilities really help us players to bring the best out of us. I've just really enjoyed the sort of the environment, the setup, and obviously all the boys and all the players there are great men.
Yeah, it definitely has turned into a fortress. I mean, you look at the results from the past season, it's just been win. It's incredible to see, Chris. But your coach has brought in some interesting players, but the competition for that number 10 spot is heating up a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, so obviously if I have to compare myself to the other two flyers, obviously Bruce has unfortunately picked up injury now, but they're obviously two quality 10s. I'm probably a bit of a no-name compared to them, but obviously learning a great amount from both of them. You've got Morne, obviously a Springbok legend, and you've got Goose, also the unbelievable Springbok player with a lot of X factor. So I think for me, obviously having both of them as mentors has probably brought the best out of my game. They're probably two different types of players. So I mean, I've been trying to take obviously a few things from Morne, a few things from Goose, and hopefully if I can put those together, I could potentially put together sort of the perfect game for a 10. So it's been awesome having them two as mentors. See, competition is always good. That's sort of an up and coming 10. I've really obviously relished the opportunity to play with such great players like them too.
No, definitely. And I think, Chris, it really does bode well for you, like you said, because the games that I've seen you play, you really are consistent, and it's almost like, it's okay, we'll give the ball to Chris. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to work out. because that's sort of the game plan that I see that comes across from your perspective. That it's good rugby, it's hard rugby, but I think you really have adapted your game, and you've actually got the best of both worlds going for you in that regard. So it's awesome. It's like you are really cool under pressure. It's good to see, Chris. Really, really well done.
Yes, thank you. Thanks very much.
But Morne Steyn must be super fit. I don't know how he does it, but he must. Like, I know you mentioned that he does. You can learn from him, but I'm sure he comes along the side every once in a while and does give you a few sort of tips or a bit of guidance to how to play the game. I mean, that's why I think he's there as well, to sort of mentor the guys, the younger guys coming up.
Yeah, so it's an interesting topic. So obviously he is, call it a mentor, as you say, but he's obviously still competing. You know what I mean? So he's, as soon as he came back from Stade Francais and joined the Bulls, he wasn't there to just mentor. He's obviously there to compete as well. So, and I mean, he's still competing at his age, and he's, like you say, he's extremely fit. We do a Bronco test, which is a fitness test, and he's, I think we did run recently, and I think he was second. So yeah, extremely fit human being. But yeah, like I said, he's obviously still there to compete. He's not just there to mentor. But obviously for me, probably one of the few tens that have a mentor like him to look up to. So I do ask him questions. I am up his backside most of the time. I obviously observe him. I've actually learned a lot just from observing his sort of his mannerisms, the way he kicks, the way he carries himself. So yeah, probably very grateful to have a mentor like him to look up to. But at the same time, we obviously he still is competing, and obviously still wants to make that number 10 jersey his own. So it's all fair game, and hopefully I can try and compete with him, I guess.
Yeah, well, the Bulls are the team to watch. I'm telling you now, it's good. It's very, very interesting at the moment. But obviously, you guys were involved in the United Rugby Championship, and there's been a bit of a gap now. But good or bad timing for the Bulls? What do you think?
So I probably think good timing. I mean, we obviously had a whole Currie Cup campaign that we played in the final, and then had a week off, and then we were straight into a match week for the RC. So after the Currie Cup final, had a week off, and then we jumped on a plane, flew to where did we fly? We played first, played Leinster, flew to Ireland first. So yeah, obviously didn't have much break after coming off a massive Currie Cup campaign. So yeah, I'd say it's probably good timing. We obviously learned a lot on that GRC tour. I mean, an incredible amount. So yeah, we've obviously been back to the drawing board, seeing how we can improve, how we can adapt, so that we can compete with these Northern Hemisphere sides who could say are sort of leading provincial or club rugby. I mean, a team like Leinster, I mean, I think of the Irish side, call it 13 or 14 were from Leinster. I know they've got a 45-man squad, who I think 31 of them are Irish internationals. So that's obviously the caliber of players you're playing against. So I mean, unfortunately, we do need to adapt our game and improve if we are wanting to compete in the URC.
Yeah, because it was a bit of a heavy start for the side, Chris, and I think a lot of guys sort of thought, "Whoa, okay, what's going on here now?" Because it was a bit of like almost a smack into the wall there. But I feel like guys have got a grasp on the thing now, on the game, and how has it been quite a big thing in terms of how the refs have run the game? Has it also been a factor for you guys?
No, I think definitely. I know in the Currie Cup campaign, South African refs sort of tried to blow sort of how the Northern Hemisphere refs would, to sort of prepare us for that competition. But I think, yeah, up there, the breakdown is quite a focal point. So I know we've been obviously working hard on the breakdown now. And probably the best way to sort of counteract it is obviously to improve our breakdown skills, and to improve so you can avoid that ref making those decisions. Because I mean, those Northern Hemisphere players, call it the loose trio, or those forwards, they're quick on the ball. So we've got to work on a few skills that would sort of take the ref out the game, and hopefully prohibit him from penalising us and preventing us from going forward.
Sure. No, interesting. Really interesting. And I think that's the beautiful thing with technology, is that you can look at all these different aspects and scenarios and almost manipulate the game to work for you. No, it's amazing how rugby's changed over the years. Really, really incredible. But you guys are taking on Munster late November. I think that's your first fixture back home. And that's quite the fixture, Chris. Are you guys ready to take them on?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Munster are top Irish side. We played them 27th of November. Luckily at at Fortress Loftus. So hopefully, I mean, I think under Coach Jake, we're yet to lose at Loftus. So obviously a massive game. They're extremely top side. So yeah, we're preparing really hard. We've got this whole week of training. Then we go into a match week to play against Munster, our first URC game at home. So yeah, obviously a lot to play for, and yeah, it'd be great if we can sort of keep that win record going. Hopefully pull off a good win against a good Munster side at Loftus, which I think will bring a lot of confidence to the guys.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's a busy schedule, especially drawing into November and an early year. So you guys are going to be busy, but we're very grateful that rugby's back up and running. It's good to see rugby again. Really, really good. And do you think the URC's put a real different dynamic to rugby in South Africa, in the sense that there's always that comparison between Super Rugby and now URC, and some guys are saying, oh, they wish they could have played Super Rugby, but the URC is also a really good experience. Do you think it really has brought a different dynamic to South African rugby?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously you're gonna compare kind of URC to Super Rugby, but just, I mean, for the past 2 years with all the COVID and what's going on, we've been playing, call it South African derbies for the past 2 years. So I think to venture into a new competition like this, to play against Northern Hemisphere sides, we are sort of, I'm not gonna state a random fact and say they're leading world rugby, because the Springboks and New Zealand are up there. But I mean, like Ireland just got a good victory over New Zealand, where like I said, call it 13, 14 of that Irish starting lineup are playing for Leinster. And now this is a team that a Bulls franchise must not go play against Leinster, are obviously full of international players. I think surely that's only going to benefit your rugby and make it stronger. So yeah, I think it's obviously a great tournament. But that being said, I think it's going to maybe take a season for South African sides to sort of get used to Northern Hemisphere rugby before we can really compete for that final.
No, definitely, for sure. But it is a long season, Chris. So like I mentioned, you've obviously got the URC now, then there's Currie Cup and a few other things along the line. How do you manage that, Chris? Because it just seems you guys have to be there and do this and training and then fly there. How do you sort of manage and get through it all with sort of being able to, I don't know, still have composure and handle the pressure of results that's almost expected from people?
Yeah, so I think that's where Coach Jake has done a good job in sort of contracting a good squad. I think you don't win a tournament with just 15 players. You obviously win it with the full squad. I think like in our Currie Cup, you probably have about 35 players who have actually taken part in that competition. So I mean, it's obviously it definitely is a squad effort. So if you've got good squad depth, that obviously, and you obviously sort of bring in a bit of rotation or whatnot, or you rest a few players. I think that's the only way you get through a long season like that. So I think it definitely comes down to squad depth. Obviously, yeah, competition within the squad.
No, good. Always good to have competition, Chris. But I have to ask you, since you mentioned Coach Jake White there, is he quite intense?
So he's actually. I mean, I obviously didn't work with him back in the day, but he's been awesome. He's actually very, very chilled. Obviously, we've got a good leadership group, which he obviously has put a lot of trust in. He's got a good coaching staff working under him. So yeah, no, he's been really, really good, very chilled. Yeah, so it hasn't been too intense. I haven't seen yet.
Oh, that's great. And do the coaching staff sort of say to you guys, look, we want to win this, and this, and this, or do they sort of say, look, guys, just play to your best ability, and then whichever way the game goes, that's it goes, and we'll take it that way. Am I allowed to ask that question? Are they quite?
I mean, obviously we're all competitive men, so you're obviously going to go out and try your best to win every game. But I think, if a result doesn't go your way, then you obviously got to look at reasons why it didn't go. You've got to be sort of realistic about it all. I mean, you'd like to say you're going to win sort of 12 away games, but that's show me as high that's done that. So I'm not saying you pick sort of fixtures that you want to win. You definitely go out to give your best and to win those. But I guess sometimes there's obviously a lot of factors that play against you that result in the result not going your way.
No, for sure. But Chris, I'm sure you guys are aiming for another Currie Cup win, aren't you?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know Curry Cup in 2022 starts nice and early. And that's a trophy that I find extremely gorgeous. So it's definitely one that I'd like to win again. But yeah, Sunday night here in Victoria. But yeah, that's definitely a trophy I'd like to win and would love to continue winning. It's obviously a trophy with a lot of history. So I'm sure the Bulls will be competing at full force next year to hopefully defend our Curry Cup title.
And is it that sort of genuine sort of desire to, so you've won the Curry Cup and you feel good about it and you've won something, a major trophy, and is there sort of like that hunger that really kicks in and says, you know what, we've got to do this again. I want to do this again. And that also ends up building like a bit of momentum, and it's like a driving force also mentally to say, guys, we have to do this. Does it also sort of kick in once in a while, Chris?
Yeah, so that's definitely something Coach Jake addressed before our second Curry Cup win. Is that obviously a team that's won it is sort of not normally as hungry because they have ticked that box, they have won it already. But I don't know how we got it right, but I know the guys are extremely hungry to win it again. Because obviously it's not. You can say, okay, now we're hungry to win a third Curry Cup title in a row, which hasn't been done before. So if you can, I don't know, try to change the perspective of it, then obviously you get guys to remain hungry. I think because the Curry Cup is such a proud tournament and such a proud history. I think any South African boy wants to win the Curry Cup. I mean, if you win it 3 times, then even better. So I think the guys will continue to remain hungry for that Curry Cup trophy.
No, that's awesome. That's really, really good to see or hear, Chris. But you're not just all about rugby. I believe you've also got a bit of a framing business that you got going. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it's called Shirtsmith Framing. I think I sort of started it. I always had the idea. I always had a few jerseys my first one that I wanted to frame was my Marty's jersey when we won the Varsity Cup. So yeah, I went to a few framing shops and asked for quotes, and the quote was a bit pricey, a bit steep. So I thought there must be a cheaper way to do this, or so I sort of investigated the whole framing business, the whole framing sort of industry, and then I actually got hold of sort of a factory shop that does all the materials, order the materials, all of that, and actually I built my first two frames of my jerseys. I've got one hanging up in my room and one just behind me. And I guess sports memorabilia has always been a big interest of mine. And then just to sort of get an option that is just a bit cheaper than sort of a frame shop. I carried on venturing it. I got a few friends to ask me to frame their jerseys. And eventually the word spread out. So obviously offer sports memorabilia framing, sort of focusing on sports jerseys, probably just at a cheaper rate. Still very good quality, but just at a cheaper rate for us younger lads to be able to afford.
Well, I've got a few shirts I need to be framed, so I know who can help me now. Thank you, Chris. That's brilliant.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Excellent. No, that's good. It's really, really good. But also, if I need an aircon fixed, you can help me with that as well, isn't it?
Ah, goodness. Yeah, so that's a funny story. So obviously I touched on what I said earlier. I didn't play Craven Week or Academy Week. So obviously didn't get into quarter and a 19 academy, provincial academy after school. And I was still waiting to hear back about my studies, to where I was going to study. So I had a friend at school, and his father had an aircon company. So I ended up working there for a few weeks, I don't know, 5-6 weeks, getting paid weekly. Sort of doing the ducting of aircons, installing aircons. So a bit of hard labor, which are sort of quite an interesting journey. But couldn't change it for the world. And obviously what a crazy experience, sitting there in the warehouse, doing ducting, putting together aircons, and we would have thought it would have turned out like this. So awesome.
Well, Chris, there's a reason why it happened, and it just adds to your skills. So keep going, man. It's good to see, Chris. Really, really good to see. But you've played a lot of stadiums, obviously, around South Africa, and you've done a bit of traveling. But which stadium is one that you really enjoy, or one that you really would like to play in?
Okay, I'm gonna first I say my varsity cup days playing on the Donny Craven, a full stadium packed with students was pretty awesome experience. Then I think playing obviously Loftus is obviously great. Newlands is obviously a stadium that I dreamt of to play at. Obviously being schooled at SACS just down the road. So it's obviously a stadium with a lot of history. Love playing in Newlands. Then playing at the Viva Stadium that we played at now at Leinster. Also a surreal experience. Very cool stadium. And then when we played against Edinburgh, we walked through Murrayfield. We walked through the Murrayfield Stadium to get to the field that we were going to play on. And that obviously also looks like an awesome stadium. So I think I'm sure the list goes on, but those are the sort of the top ones that I'd probably like to experience.
No, excellent. And added to that, the focus that the team has, that can only lead to great things, don't you think, Chris?
No, definitely. Obviously we've built a good culture. We've built a bit of momentum. Winning 2 Currie Cups. Our squad is very strong. We've got a good squad. We've got very experienced players. We've got a lot of young players coming through. So we've got a good balance, a good blend. Our coaching staff is awesome under Coach Jake. So we really sort of have what it takes to hopefully get some more victories under the belt. But URC is a different ball game, a different competition. So we're going to have to adapt and improve, and then hopefully we can continue to compete at a nice high level.
Excellent. Chris, as we draw towards an end, one final question, and it's always interesting to see. I think South Africans are quite strong rugby players, and they normally sort people out in how they play rugby. But that physicality, I believe there is a difference. I believe, only because I'm South African, I believe South Africans are tougher. I don't know if that's a bit biased, but you'll know you've played. Are South Africans just a lot more intense when it comes to the physical contact, or are the European sides matching it? What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I think obviously South Africans are known to sort of brutally sort of brute force and be very aggressive and strong rugby players. But I think we're sort of the Northern Hemisphere and the other sides is that they obviously I call it not as strong or as brutal as us, but they're obviously quite intelligent rugby players. So I'm not saying we aren't intelligent, but I know they definitely are definitely are smart rugby players up north and in New Zealand areas. So I mean, I think if we can bring our sort of our size and our athletic ability and combine it with a sort of a thinking player, then you'll probably get the perfect rugby player.
No, excellent. Well, Chris, it's been really good to chat to you.
Yeah.
It's been nice to see how you see things with regards to rugby, and it's almost nice because it's the URC, we're sort of getting used to it. So who knows, maybe a few seasons from now we'll have a catch up again and see how things are going, because I believe it is sort of a bit of a new phase for South African rugby as well. So it's been really nice to chat to someone who's in the middle of it, and it's really awesome to see how well the Blue Bulls have been doing. And I think you guys are a side that people are really going to be struggling to face, I think, in a good few more years to come. So Chris, you're a legend. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Enjoyed that talk. Thank you,
Chris.
Good to chat.
Talk to yourself, man. All the best there.
Good, man. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.